Hey guys, what's happening? It's Dylan Miles here, and today we're going to be doing a tutorial on in-place models in Revit. So I'm going to be focusing on all the different types of in-place models. In-place models have definitely helped me in my work culture and also at uni. Originally I was just using the walls, the doors, the columns, the ceilings, the floors, until I learned in-place modeling, and then I realized I can really expand my knowledge and also the capabilities of my work. Because with the default walls, you're very limited to what you can do there. However, with for extrusion, for example, you can adjust any shape you want, and you can even make that a door. So that means a wall. Sorry. So that means doors and windows can even touch to that. They can host that family as if a wall was just made. Right? So cool. Let's get into it. So what we want to do, in order to make your in-place model, you want to click on component, the drop down, and you want to find model in place. Right? You click on this, and then you're greeted with a family categories and parameters. Now it might look quite overwhelming, but it's really not. They're just different parameters parameters and categories for certain different things. But about 90% of the time at work and at uni, I always use generic models. So you can either scroll down or find it, or you can hit G for generic model, and we're going to use that. Now I'll show you why, for example, selecting the right family is appropriate for what you're trying to do. But fortunately, you can change that once you've started. So if you've already started modeling something as a generic model and you're like, oh crap, it was meant to be a wall, you can easily change that in the thingo. So for this instance, I'm going to collect a generic model. Now, I normally always use generic model, and then if I need to make it a wall, for example, I can just adjust it, and I'll explain that in a sec. So hit generic model, hit OK. You can name this whatever you want for this tutorial. I'm just going to name it generic model 1, so hit OK. And then we're greeted in this screen. So then you've got your different types of forms. So you've got your extrusion, your blend, revolve, sweep, swept blend, and void form. Now the most common one that I use a lot is the extrusion, because it's the most basic one, right? So let's click on extrusion and I'll show you what this does. So once you click extrusion, you're able to draw, right? So for this example, I'm just going to draw a rectangle here. Now let's just say we're going to make it 8 mm by 4, right? And we've made that. Brilliant. Now let's hit tick. Cool. So you can see something's modeled. You go to 3D. So let's go to 3D, and you have this rectangle here, which is a perfect rectangle, 8 by 4, and it's not that thick, is it? So you can adjust the height, and you can adjust the height by using one of these blue arrows. However, you notice you can't adjust it to like exact values unless you draw to a level, for example. But in order to get exactly what you want, so for example, if I want to make this rectangle here 3 meters high, then you can go to your properties panel and you can adjust your extrusion end. So as you can see, it's 1912.5, which is random, right? You want to make sure, I mean, it really depends on what you're doing, but if you want to make this 3 meters high, then instead of randomly trying to guess it, you can adjust it in the constraints. So let's make it 3 meters. And brilliant. So this rectangle is 3 meters high now, which is great. Cool. So that's exactly what we want. All right. Awesome. So now we've got a rectangle, a big solid rectangle. You can definitely use that for certain things. However, let's turn this into walls. So what we want to do is we want to select it. So we go into the edit in place. So once you get out of it, then you can get back to your normal Revit file. And if you want to edit your edit in place, you have to click it and click edit in place, or you can double click it. Acts as the same thing. So once you're in it, now you're in your family space, you can go edit extrusion, and then we can adjust the parameters of the extrusion. So let's make walls. So what I'm going to do is select a rectangle. Now you can select any type of drawing type. It's all going to do the same thing. However, because it's a rectangle or a square, or it's very simple basic object, we can do this to save time instead of drawing independent lines. So what we want to do is we want to make, let's say for example, we're going to make our walls 100 mm thick, right? We're going to adjust the offset to 100 mm, and then we're going to drag from one corner to the next. And we're going to make sure we see that purple rectangle, meaning we've selected that exact point, and then we're going to click it. Now we have walls. So if we go into 3D, you can see that we've modeled in some walls. Brilliant. Now let's add some doors, shall we? So we click Finish, Architecture, Doors. Oh no, we can't. And the reason why is because it's a generic model. So you want to go Edit in Place, so back into it, click on the generic model. You want on the top left, you want to click Family, Categories, and Parameters. And you will open up into that same view that we saw before when we were making the model in place. Now, it depends on what you're doing. So for example, we want to make sure it's walls. So we hit walls, right? Click Finish, go back to Architecture, go back to Doors, and then we can finally add a door. Now, the reason why is because it's a wall now. So it's exactly as if you were going to draw a wall here and then just add a door. So it's acting as the same thing. However, with model in place, you have so much more freedom with the flexibility of the shape and everything with the door that in most cases I prefer to use it rather than the in-place walls that Revit provides, right? Because you can adjust so much things. You can paint the surface, you can adjust the thickness, you can even add different extrusions that match different things. So let's say you want to make a 90mm stud and 10mm plasterboard on each side, you can easily do that. But you know, for this example, we made 100mm thick, so that works. Cool. So we can add doors, which is brilliant. Now let's add windows as well. So what we can do is we can just add 2 windows. Obviously, you know, if you're actually, designing a house, you don't want to just freely drop your windows in. You want to make sure things are spaced correctly. But for this purpose, we're just going to place them in. My apologies if you've got OCD. I slightly do too, but let's just turn it around here and we'll work from this side. No, just kidding. It's going to be all right. Don't worry, guys. But that's how you add the doors and windows to that model in place, which is now walls. Cool. So that's brilliant. Now, what we want to do is we want to click into this and then we can create something else, right? So we've got blend. So let's try blend, right? Now, let's go back to ground floor plan and we're going to edit the ground, right? So the blend has 2 different surfaces. So for example, let's just say we build a square here. So we're going to 2500 and we'll do 2500 on this side as well, right? Awesome. We've got a perfect square. This is brilliant, right? Now we want to pick the center bit because we're going to make a circle at the top, all right? This will all make sense, don't worry, once you see the finished project. So we're going to click here to this side and click here for this side, and then we've got the center point, right? Now from here, you want to click circle, or whatever you want, but for this practice, we're going to use circle, and we're going to drag it out. We're going to make it 500, right? And then hit tick, and then you can see that it's made like a complex shape here. So you can adjust the heights in the constraints. You can adjust let's say we want to have this at 500, the first end. So this will be the bottom end. It sits up 500 from the ground point. Cool. So let's just bring this back and voila. So we have this shape here. Now the possibilities are endless because you can change the shape and really see, what Revit can handle. Sometimes when it's too complex, Revit can't figure out how to draw such a shape, but you'll be surprised at the shapes that you can create. Cool. While we're here, I'm just going to run through the different parameters for the shapes. Now this relates to every single one. You'll see different things like for constraints second end, first end, and for example this is extrusion start and extrusion end. It has its different parameters for the type that you're using, but they're all very similar in terms of the constraints, the graphics, materials, and density data. I'll just quickly run through this because this is like another video I can do for this as well, because it's a bit more, you can go really in depth for these things. You can set custom parameters for the height. You can adjust the height in the ground. You can adjust to see if it's visible in the view. So if you untick it, it won't be visible when you exit out of the family. You can change the visibility settings. So for example, if you wanted for this to only be visible in 3D, you would get rid of plan. So you wouldn't be able to see it in plan, but you can see it in 3D. I don't know why you would do that, but there's definitely an application that you would use that for. So there you go. You can tick coarse, medium, or fine, or make sure it's shown in all. And I'll show you why. For example, if you wanted to hide it in a different view, you can go down here and go medium. And if you set it to hide on medium, it'll disappear. So that's another thing you can do. I do that at work for windows, for example. If I have two different families for an open and closed window, I can set set one of these to fine or medium to adjust it. Or you can adjust the visibility settings. For example, you can add a parameter, but that's another video entirely. So there's that. And then you can, you just have your subcategories and your solid and fill, and it gets a bit complicated from there. So that's also another video, but that's just a quick brief view on that as well. Cool. So we've done our blend. Now it's time to do our revolve. Cool. So let's go here, pick a plane. See if we pick this face. So we've got this face. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to axis line and we're going to draw up this face, right? You can do this from the ground as well, but I'm going to make a column with this. So we've drawn our axis line, and now we can do our boundary line. So if we go to here, I don't have a section. Oh, I do have a section here cut. We can use that. And let's make our column. So we can make let's say, a nice architectural Roman, type of column here. So we can draw it 5 mm up, and we can go, maybe 340. We can, 45 degrees, 280 down like that. We can go in a bit more, keep it 45 at 100. Maybe we can go down a meter, whatever you want to do for this, and we can close it off. So once we close it off, we're just drawing one side. It will revolve around to create a circle. So you can see we have this kind of cool looking column that we've placed in as well. So there you go. So there's so much you can do with this. For example, this is quite large. This is obviously 3 meters high to hit the top, but you can, the sizes are endless. You can go to 5 mil, you can go to 50 mil, for 100 mil. You know what I mean? 1 meter. The possibilities are endless. So with the model in place, you can, do as much as you want with it. But we've just made a column there. So that is revolve. Now Cool. My apologies. My audio cut out for a second, but we're back. Cool. So what you want to do, we want to go into here, edit in place, and we want to go into sweep, right? So in order to pick the surface that we want to run our sweep on, we're going to go set surface, pick a plane, and then we're going to pick the top of this because we want our gutter to run across the top. Now, because we've done so, we can go to ground and we can draw our sketch path. So we can draw our path around. So you'll notice that you're drawing your path. When you do, it will come up purple and you can draw a perfect path around. So you want to hit your tick once you've drawn a path, right? And then we can click here and we can edit the profile. So we go back to our section and then we can start drawing a gutter. So I'm going to make it very basic. Let's just say 140. We're going to go out by 80. We're going to let's just stop at 100 mil. We're going to draw down at 100, right? Close this off. Obviously, you can be a bit more technical, but for the purpose of training, I'm just going to show you a very basic gutter. We're going to make this, let's say 2 mil thick, and I've just used the pick line tool and I'm just going to pick around. All right. So we're picking around here and I'm going to go TR for trim. So the trim tool, and we're going to trim these lines. All right. To make a 2 mil profile of a gutter. Yeah, a tick, and then voila. So we go to 3D and you can see that the profile wraps around the building. Now the sweep is my favorite because you can do so many different profiles that wrap around things. For example, we can make a sweep that wraps around here and we can do some abstract shape or something to add to the column. The possibilities are endless, and that's why I use in-place models a lot, is just because you can achieve things that you could achieve using the default Revit walls and stuff, but when it gets a bit complicated, it starts to fizzle out the creativity that you can use for that. Cool. So that's awesome. Let's do the next one. So we've got sweep blend. Now sweep blend is really cool as well. Now it's very similar to sweep, but we can blend two different, it's easier if I just show you, right? So what we can do is we can go set a path, right? Let's set the ground path. We're going to draw our line here. So we're going to draw where the sweep is going to go to, right? So let's say 7 meters, right? It's sometimes better to draw in 3D when you're creating these objects, so you can see, you can look around and really get a better idea of what's happening as you draw. So you've got that, you want to click the tick, and then you can select profile 1. So you notice it selects this profile. So we can draw a shape. For example, I'm just going to draw, let's say just a rectangle, right? It's not exactly, let's make it 2 meters, right? Brilliant. So we've drawn our rectangle on this face. Now we're going to go to this, select profile 2, or you can just click it and go edit profile. Now we're going to, let's see, let's make a, we'll see if this works. We'll go to rectangle, right? And then you want to click OK and tick again, and then it makes the shape. So it forms from those lines to the other lines, so it makes objects like that. Now you can tweak it once you've got that, and you can be like, hang on, I want it, to sit like that. I'm just moving it using trim tool and clicking tick, and then there you go. So you can getting these type of shapes. Now with these, you can really see the creative side come out of it as well. You can really make some really cool objects, even building structures with Revit, which is perfect for these type of applications. So cool. So there's that. Now the last one is voids. Now you'll notice when you click down on voids, you have a drop down of all the different forms. So you can do extrusion, void blend, void revolve, void sweep, and a void swept blend. So it follows the same parameters and styles of the previous forms that I showed, but for this period I'll just show the void extrusion. So you've got this cool shape here that's got different curves and edges and stuff like that. However, you want to add a break into that part. So let's say you make a passageway for people to walk through. So what you want to do is go to ground, draw a rectangle. Obviously if you want to make it exact, you want to make sure you dimension and make sure things are exact, and then go into 3D. Now the void is set to the same space, so it's 0 to 250. So you want to adjust it, so 3 meters for example, and bring it up. All right, and then you see you can create a void cut into it. So you can do anything you want really. You can adjust it over here and maybe cut this column if you click it, and then go cut geometry, click the column, and then there. So you can cut certain pieces of the column, so you can really see the potential of these abstract kind of shapes and stuff, and the things you can create with them. Cool. So that's how you create in-place models. This is a very quick, very basic of each in-place model. I'm going to be releasing some more videos of some more complex shapes, and things to use for these extrusions and other in-place models. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and if you enjoyed the video, like and comment. I really appreciate it. And if you want any advice or help in the comments, please feel free to create a comment. I'm 100% able to answer all comments below. Awesome. Thank you, and have a good day.